we're kids and like Lil Wayne is popping at the time, and like I mean always popping, but like especially at this time. And I remember they would always get mad at me because I wouldn't curse. They'd be like, "Man, come on, like that would have been cold, but you didn't curse."
You didn't curse,
like,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why? I mean, just out of curiosity, why didn't you? What made you not want to?
Probably my mom.
Okay.
Like if I had to think, I don't know how to unpack that.
From New Orleans, with the Forstalls. This is Local Legends. One-on-one conversations with some of New Orleans' most exciting and influential business owners, entrepreneurs, movers, and shakers. They're here to give their take on all things going down in the Big Easy.
What's up, New Orleans? Welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Forstall, and today we have our segment, Local Legends. Local Legends is where we interview musicians, artists, entrepreneurs, anybody with a story, anybody with grind, anybody who's made it in this city. We want them on the podcast. We want to hear their story. But today we have an awesome guest from festival stages to international tours, from independent grind to major cosigns. He's carved out his own space in hip hop without chasing trends or abandoning his voice. So help me welcome my boy Pell.
What's up, man?
Come on.
Glad to be here. Great intro. Thank you for the intro.
Absolutely. I like to ask my first question is take us back to 10-year-old Pell. What was he like?
10-year-old Pell, loved baseball. I was a first baseman. I played at Lakeview. I actually I have a ton of awards. My mom actually knows what they were for. But I was doing good every year that I played there. I actually got bumped up to be in my brother's league one time, and he's like 3 years older than me. That's how good I was. Also, I was left-handed, so first baseman, I got the advantage. So that, and I also loved playing horn. I played trombone. So I grew up playing trombone. I played music, lived in Gentilly with my mom, my brother, and my dad lived in Holly Grove. So I would be between them two. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, to be honest. Like,
gotcha.
Yeah. And grew up here, loved it here, loved playing sports, loved playing music here.
What high school did you go to?
So I went to St. Aug the year before Katrina.
Gotcha.
So yeah, didn't last long, but I wound up graduating in Mississippi.
Gotcha. After you evacuated.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what was, you said you had one brother?
Just one. Yeah.
One brother, one older brother.
Yeah.
You guys were close?
Yeah. Still close to this day. Always. Yeah.
What was home life like? Was mom, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Mom was a school psychologist. She worked uptown and would basically like do psycho evaluations on kids, basically. And my dad, he works in law, and also before I was born, started a record label and named it after my brother. So it was called Hasim Records, I believe. I think they only had like one or two singles that dropped, but yeah, my dad used to be called like what they called like the money man. I guess the person that the club back in the day would give the money to pay out all the artists and stuff because he was good with like numbers. Shout out to Pops.
Gotcha. So you weren't the first one in music in your
technically,
family.
Yeah. But I mean, my dad was he not a lick of like artistic stuff in his brain like that. But he's creative in his own way.
So was he more on the business side?
Yeah,
of it?
business. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting. So, how did that your mom being in education and that, and your brother athletic, dad in music? Tell me how that all influenced who you were as a child.
It influenced me because it gave me a sense of like identity in the family too. Because even though everybody had and it was musically inclined, I believe. I was playing trombone. Also, was like in little group was what we called it. We used to be a part of like a singing thing when I was in elementary school, and also would. I feel like I took it serious. I used to burn CDs for my friends when it was cool and like make money off of that. I mean, I don't know what the statute of limitation is on that.
Are you good?
Cut that out. But like, you know what I mean? Like back in the day, I think I was really influenced by music to the point where I would be obsessed. Like I would get up at night, go on BearShare, LimeWire, whatever, try to get as many songs as I could. Like my mom would have to like wake up and tell me to go to bed because I would do that every night, pretty much.
I remember LimeWire. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Blast from the past.
Blast from all that, different time.
That's right. So what role did New Orleans music culture play in your childhood? Before you really got into the to the whole music world? I know you said you played trombone.
Yes.
Tell us a little about how New Orleans culture really influenced your.
Yeah. I mean, in New Orleans, it's hard not to be an artist. I feel like we all have this creative side to us just being from here. And I like some of my earliest memories are being with my parent, John C. Scott, a famous sculptor from here, did the Spirit House right near the fairgrounds. He was really good friends with Ellis Marcellus. So even as a kid, sometimes seeing them go to events together or like talking together, I didn't even know the weight of it, but I would always be around music when I was younger. Even thinking about my uncle, was an entrepreneur. He still is an entrepreneur, and had like before it became Shia, he like owned that building. Like, and it used to run pagers and cell phones used to sell out of there. And so I met Mystical and somebody else, like another No Limit rapper when I was like 7. You know what I mean? And I wasn't even thinking of it because to me these were just local artists. I didn't understand the national impact, but at the same time, I would see them on TV all the time, and I would also hear like live music in the streets all the time. It's New Orleans, you know?
Yeah.
I wasn't really at Mardi Gras or anything like that much when I was a kid. I think my mom kind of like would take me to parades, but then we go home quick, you know?
Right. Did you listen to music more than your friends did? Like, were you the kid that always had earphones in, or
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, as long as I could. Like, obviously, when you're a kid, you don't have too much say in that. It's not like kids now have iPads and stuff like that. Like, my iPad was my Walkman. Like, my first, and this is a crazy thing, my first concert was Smoothie King Center when it was just built. I believe they did the No Strings Attached tour in sync. I went to follow like my brother's footsteps. My brother was going, him and his friend were going on a date with like some girls or whatever. And like I tagged along, and that was my first concert.
Really? How old were you?
Had to be like 9, 10,
Wow.
I think. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said you played trombone. What other than New Orleans influence, what drew you to that instrument?
It was the easiest at first. I feel like that's what drew me to it. And I felt like it was the most expressive at the time. Shout out to my band teacher, Miss Antis. She kind of convinced me, and I loved it because I wound up getting really good at it.
Did you try anything else before trombone? Or?
I did. I tried trumpet. I just felt like my lips wasn't going. I tried saxophone. Hate reeds. Like I don't like biting down on something like that. It's just not for me. So trombone was the perfect. Yeah, trombone. It was the glass slipper.
There you go.
It was there.
And how long did you play trombone for?
I guess 10 years. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I guess 10 years.
So when did you? How old were you when you started?
When I started playing, I had to have been like 11. I probably stopped around 20, 21.
Gotcha. Yeah. Wow. So you played through high school and.
Yeah, and when I was in college, I gave away my trombone to my high school. So
nice.
Yeah.
Good boy. There you go.
I know, right? It's good. Yeah, it's good.
So when did you realize? Was it playing the trombone or after that? When did you realize that music was more than just a hobby?
So sophomore year of college, I realized that I started performing pretty much weekly around Starkville, Mississippi. I went to school at Mississippi State. So there's this district called like the Cotton District, and there's a bunch of bars, bunch of restaurants in that space. And I was pretty much performing every other weekend at a different bar, negotiating my own contracts, figuring out like what it's like to, get an advance and then get a bar tab, get all these other things, like the bare minimum at the time, but also what I realized was the industry standard for this market. And I started learning how artists could make money doing that. So that's when I started feeling in my bones that I could do this for real. But I also had a catalyst where, my FAFSA money is running out. And it's like, either I'm going to start paying for school or I'm going to drop out and start doing this full time. And it came to a head where I had a call with my parents. Called them and I'm like, yo, I'm telling you, I'm thinking about leaving school. I want to make sure that y'all heard it from me first and you're not like coming to visit me or something and it's a surprise to you. They were hurt about that. They were sick.
Yeah.
My dad comes driving up, you know what I mean? He was like, okay, if you really want to do this, get a job and like, if you need me, I'm here. But I wound up getting a job at Dollar General on Martin Luther King Drive. So shout out to Starkville for that. You can imagine what it was like. And from there, started working to fund my first projects. Yeah.
Gotcha. And what was that first project?
First project that I dropped while I was there was Calphonic, and that was produced by one of the homies of my collective at the time called TFG. His name is Staccato. And we made a project together that eventually led to Lyor Cohen reaching out to me. Are you familiar with Lyor Cohen?
No.
Lyor Cohen, one of the founders of Def Jam. He also is responsible for a lot of the big acts that came through Atlantic Records. I don't know if you ever heard this Kanye line, but he's like, the Lyor Cohen, the Dior home, that's, no, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the,
I heard that, yeah.
Devil in a New Dress.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's Lyor Cohen that he's
Gotcha.
talking about. One of the biggest names in music.
So he reached out to you?
Yes.
Damn.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us a
Once
little bit-
through this guy, Jeff Ogunlesi, who, shout out to Jeff, flew me and my manager at the time out to LA to
Really?
yeah, to start recording. And we didn't even have a project that we were working on. It was just like, okay, like, cool, let's go out there.
And that's all from that one project?
That's from that project. And I was touring too. It's like I started touring right around the same time. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Congrats. So tell us about the first show. The first show was
Ooh.
had with Homesick Astronauts.
First show with Homesick Astronauts.
That's your first live show, right?
First live show.
Yeah.
Shout out to my cousin, Jonathan Faulkner, and one of my good friends, Justin Johnson. We formed a group. When I moved after Hurricane Katrina, I moved to Jackson, Mississippi with my mom and my brother. And when we got to Jackson, we wanted to make some music, me and my cousin. He was a big inspiration to me too. He listened to a lot of Gym Class Heroes, Flowbots, all of this like live sounding rap that I never really listened much to, and kind of influenced what we would start making as Homesick Astronauts. The name came from the idea of being homesick and also being out of this world, right? Like, we're not in New Orleans anymore, but also we're not like anybody else that we see.
Gotcha.
So our first show was when I was probably a junior in high school. We performed at our rival schools, like they had a house party or something.
Really?
Yeah. And we killed it. But unfortunately, something was wrong with the sound. So we wound up having to like do everything a cappella, and it made it even more fire.
Really?
Like, yeah, we were rapping a cappella to
How many of it was it?
it was three of us.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And was it all original music?
All original music, no covers, none of that.
None of that.
But it's still, some of those songs still hold up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the start of the story right there, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's up. So it was three of y'all, and y'all. Was it just rap, hip hop, R&B?
It was just rap at that
Gotcha.
time. We also had features on other people's like records, because this was around the time when, like, you know, GarageBand had just hit. So
Yeah.
any kid that had a Mac laptop was like creating music. It felt like,
Gotcha.
you know,
I remember those days.
So,
I remember GarageBand.
yeah. So we had a couple of friends. R.I.P. I gotta say this to Avery Nejum, one of the biggest inspirations for me in terms of artistically. We made a couple of songs with guitar and stuff like that with her and a couple of her friends. It was cool. Yeah,
That's what's
we used
up.
to do it all.
That's what's up. So you said the music cut out halfway through.
Yep.
But you were at a Rivals.
Yeah.
Okay. They
St.
didn't like
Andrews.
sabotage it on, huh?
No, if they did, it didn't work. Like it was perfect, bro.
Right.
Like that was one of the like, you know, now I've been doing this so long that sometimes it can feel like I'm just blacking out. That
Right.
It's still one of my good memories of
Like you vividly remember.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So you said you went to Mississippi State
Mhm.
and you were studying finance,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And what were you, a sophomore, you said?
Sophomore.
Sophomore, and you decided I'm going to put my education on hold so I can pursue my music dream. What gave you the courage? I mean, I know you said you called mom, you called dad. They, said, if you want to do that, that's fine. But what gave you the courage to go all in on yourself on your music career?
Yeah.
That's courageous, man.
Woo!
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a multiple factors, but one, I'd have to say my brother is a very strong force in showing me what's possible. Coming from a small school in New Orleans to him making it to the NFL. When I talked to him about my decision, he was in full support in a way that also made me visualize it, because right simultaneously as I was making that decision, he was entering the league.
So you saw like he did it.
Yeah.
He made it.
Yeah.
I can do it too.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Sometimes you got to see it, and it's easier when it's right next to you, or it's more impactful when it's right next to you.
Right. Your brother.
Nothing's easy about it. But I think like nothing. But
Right.
I think that was a big step. And then also having a team, my friends believed in me. I had a manager and like somebody who was booking stuff in colleges that believed in me simultaneously to work out booking my first tour. I had people that really believed in me and really were waiting for me to press the button. So, if the only thing holding you back is you, like it is most of the time.
Yes.
And you realize that, you take a step forward. So, yeah, there's no other option for me in my brain.
Right. So when you had your brother join the league, NFL.
Yeah. NFL, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What team?
Multiple teams, but started with Green Bay, then went to Dallas for a couple of years, and then finished out in Nashville or Tennessee.
So you went to St. Aug for 1 year.
Yeah.
Hurricane Katrina, out to Jackson.
Howdy.
And then
and then to Starkville.
Yeah. Gotcha. So and then I read you lived in a 2-bedroom house with 10 people.
Yeah. Shout out to my grandma.
Yeah, good old grandma, man. Helped us all up for sure.
I know, right? We were all packed in there. I mean, like most families that had evacuated, like, huddled around their TV, trying to figure out what was going on and when they could go back to their houses.
Right.
It was me, my brother, my mom, my aunt, my 3 cousins, my grandma, another one of my aunts, and another one of my cousins.
And all from New Orleans.
Yeah.
Everybody's house flooded?
Yeah. Everybody's house flooded.
Because you were in Gentilly, so I know your house
You
flooded.
saw, like, when I saw that on the news as a kid, I was like, oh my gosh. I'm looking at Elysian and Gentilly, where it's like pushing towards, where now they have the car wash and everything right underneath the bridge where there's that underpass. And it's full, like they can't even go past or whatever. When I saw that shot, I was like, oh no, it's done. Yeah. It's done. I knew that.
And it's crazy because, when I was a kid, and I'm sure you remember this, but when I was a kid, it was like, oh, it's a hurricane. Okay, we're going to evacuate and we're going to be back in 3 days, a little mini vacation. Just pack a couple pair of clothes. We'll be back.
Not that time.
Not that time.
Not that time at all. And that was messed up because I feel like I almost thought that I like put a curse on myself, because I used to joke with my mom sometimes. I was like, yeah, what if we like live somewhere else for like a year? Like literally, I feel like a year before that actually happened. So when reality set in and we were staying in Jackson, I was so mad. Because even though it's only 3 hours by car, Jackson could not be any more different than New Orleans. So
really,
yeah. I mean, you know that.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, but there's no place like
most exactly.
Yeah, most places are not like here. So, what did that transition? What did that teach you? I mean, how did you adjust? That's you were 9, you said?
I was 13.
13. That's right. 13. That's right. Yeah. So you're 13 years old when Hurricane Katrina happened. That's a big time in a 13-year-old's life. That's a big thing to happen. So how did you adjust? How did you go into a new school? Got to make new friends.
Right.
Was music like a catalyst? Like how did you take me through that transition?
Yeah. Speaking of music being a catalyst, I feel like music became my means to make friends at the time. Gotcha. Whenever you're in a new environment, especially when you're younger, like you're the new kid, you can kind of create your own identity. So mine was around music. I had a Korg beat machine that my dad had given me, which is like some old school stuff that has, it's a silver beat machine with 12 hits and like a bank and a mode. And basically you can record little beats in it. You can't really make chords or anything, but you can play sounds from it that you could later record if you want. To make a song from. So I would bring that to the lunch table whenever I was, 8th, 9th grade. And also not just lunch, really it was like more after school, and kick it with some of my friends, and we would freestyle, we would make songs, and that's kind of how I figured out that we should make Homesick Astronaut. Shout out to, once again, Justin and Jonathan.
Really? So you were sitting like you were playing music at the lunch table.
Yeah.
And eventually you got good enough, like, wow, this sounds good.
Yeah.
Homesick Astronaut.
Yeah.
That's what's
When
up.
I was younger, I used to beatbox too. So like I would
Really?
I would beatbox for people freestyle battling. And I remember everybody hated my raps because like we're kids and like Lil Wayne is popping at the time and like I mean always popping, but like especially at this time. And I remember they would always get mad at me because I wouldn't curse. They'd be like, man, come on, like that would have been cold, but you didn't curse.
You didn't curse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why? I mean,
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, why didn't you? Like, what made you not want to?
Probably my mom.
Okay.
Like if I had to think, I don't know how to unpack that right now.
Right.
But like yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I definitely changed after that. But yeah.
But I know you had some influences, but you always stayed true to who you were.
Right.
So let's go on with some of the struggles that you had in your life. What were some of the toughest moments, in those early career? You said you what was it? You were a sophomore when you stopped school and then you started. What was some of the toughest moments throughout that career, before you made it, before you
Oof.
Yeah.
Toughest moments that I can remember were just, at first not being able to communicate what was going on. I feel like what was happening when I first started is I would go on a tour that was around the East and like pretty much the Northeast as well. And I'm talking about we couldn't really afford hotels, so like slept in my car a couple of times in the Walmart parking lot. Like after the shows, we would go. This is just funny to think about. Would go like I had a Honda Element at the time, so it was good. It's kind of like a camping vehicle. You put the two seats down in the back, and like it turns into like two beds basically, like for two people to lay in the front, and then whoever's in the back can have like their own little side. So did that a few nights on tour, and that was very humbling. But even through that, I was so happy to be living in my purpose that I didn't really see it as a humbling experience at the time. I saw it as more of a part of the process. And it made me appreciate being on stage even more. And the fact that people would even pay me to be, hundreds of miles from home.
Right.
Eventually thousands of miles.
But going through those tough days to sleep in your car, after tour, that didn't discourage you at all?
No, not at all. Not at all.
And,
I think because you've heard the story again and again about how somebody has to sacrifice something in order to get somewhere they've never been. And I think sometimes it's hard to see at the time, but luckily I still had an apartment back home. Like this was just temporary.
Right.
This wasn't, some people go through that for years, So like, I think when you put things in perspective, and especially when you're living in your passion, like it's all one and the same. You kind of.
But I think it's important that because you said it. You had to sacrifice.
Yeah,
you had to, right, to make it. And there's some things uncomfortable things that you just got to do to get to where you want to and get that goal, right? Absolutely. So when did it first feel like, I think you mentioned this, but I want you to elaborate a little more. When did it first feel like you actually, made it in the music career? Like, back in college, you decided this is going to be my career. And now after that, when was the first time you felt like this is it? I'm on the right path to my career, and I see success. I see the light at the end of the tunnel.
On the right path. Honestly, it's early. Like I feel like when the first time I got flown out to LA because of that situation with Lyor Cohen, I feel like I didn't know anybody personally that had happened to. So I felt like that was a big statement and a big testament to the work that I had put in. So I was kind of right then is when it hit a switch. I was like, oh, this person is reaching out. This person called. Not only that, they're putting their money where their mouth is and being like, come on, let's fly out. Let's work on an album. And I'm sitting at this studio, and it's 2013. I'm sitting in the studio in LA, in Hollywood, or in Echo Park, maybe, I think, or Silver Lake. And it's with this producer named Ludwig Göransson. And Ludwig Göransson, I don't know if you're familiar, but is like one of the best composers, right? He just composed, and I'm sure he just won for what he did with the Sinners movie. He does all the Ryan Coogler films, and also has done Trolls, did Survivor before that. And at the time, one of the bands that I liked, Haim, he produced their first record and also Childish Gambino's first record like the same year. And I'm just like, I'm in his studio and we're working on a song for like the first project that I'm ever been, first studio project that I've ever worked on. And I'm just like, nah, this is crazy.
Wow.
It doesn't make sense. And we wound up making an amazing record that became the intro to Floating While Dreaming. That whole trip that I had to LA really solidified for me that, oh, I got this. I got this.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long are you in LA for?
The first trip was maybe a week. And then I went again a couple of months later for another week, and I would do sessions. But I wound up moving. And wait, I'll get there. Let me actually, because I would do week by week session trials, and this was all under the guise of me potentially signing to a label. But we came up with the idea because the label wasn't really going to pay me nothing. Like they were offering me crumbs. So what we did is we took out a loan, paid all these artists that, paid all the producers that had helped me make the project, and like paid them like basically like 5% of what their actual rate is, and told them that if I did sign to a label or a major label, I would give them their full thing and make sure that they could get the money back. But it was really about us investing in one another, and they all were down, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah, bro.
That's what's up.
That's how Floating While Dreaming came apart. Like came together.
That's what's up. So that was what, the next year, that 2014 it came out?
Yeah.
Okay, so when it came out, I know it gained popularity pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it, you saw those numbers just rise and rise and rise.
Oof, crazy.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
That was crazy. It was fun because it's like today, I guess, if I was just starting today, how like people go viral on Instagram or different social media platforms with their music or with snippets and stuff. To see that like people were doing that and listening through to like an entire album, you know what I mean, was crazy work. Like it's something that I did, with 3 or 4 people in the room, and seeing millions of people respond to that there's nothing like it. And also, just like, I think during that time, I remember I was still, I still was trying to get like bread to do what I was like doing. So I was working at, this time I was working at Subway. I was working at Subway at the airport.
Really?
Yeah. So I was another type of artist, sandwich artist, So like I was getting it done, and I feel like that also was a good feeling when the last day of work, the day like I quit, it was because I was catching a flight out like the next day. So it was cool to see my coworkers while I'm leaving to LA right after I just was working a shift at Subway. It was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. Yeah,
that's what's up.
Kind of cool.
That's what's up, man. That's a good feeling, you must say.
That's when I knew. That's when
you knew. Yeah, when you left that Subway shift and made that last sandwich. Huh?
Yeah.
That's right. So I know you had another breakthrough when G-Eazy remixed 1111.
Yeah.
Tell us about that collaboration, how you came into that opportunity and what that did for your career.
Yeah, shout out to G for that. That was a big moment. I'm really like grateful for the timing of that. So I met G a while ago, in like probably 2 years before that, in New York at a 40-ounce van party, which these used to be like, shout out to 40-ounce van. He used to throw really cool parties in New York. It was a rooftop party. And I remember G came up to me and he was like, man, you get it. And I was like, I get what? And and we had mutual friends. One of my friends that I went to elementary school with actually was producing for him at the time. Random. So that fast forward like 2 years later, I'm on tour with Kehlani. So I'm seeing a lot of, Bay Area artists. He's from the Bay. I had gone on tour with him before that too, but we never made a record. And so I randomly saw him during this process and was like, yo, like, what's up, man? We got to get a song. He was like, no, I like that one song you already have out.
For real.
So 1111 was already out. And he was like, I want to remix that. So I sent him the stems. He sent me back something. I wrote a new verse for it. And then when we dropped that, it went like trending top 500 or 100 on Billboard, some other stuff. Like, shout out to G. Like, that put so many eyes on me at that same time that I was on tour with K, and just like shout out to him.
So that was a peak moment for him. I mean,
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
touring,
Definitely.
and you got, remixing your stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's step outside the studio for a second. I know you've done some festivals as well.
Mhm.
Tell me about the first time you went on the festival stage and how that felt.
Ooh. First big festival for me was Lollapalooza. Lollapalooza was incredible. I was on the BMI stage. Shout out to BMI. And I actually brought G-Eazy out.
For real?
Yeah. We did Got It Like That, the 1111 remix.
So it was
And
after that dropped.
after that dropped,
Gotcha.
which is wild. And I'm on tour this is simultaneously while like the timing that I was telling you about. Like I'm on tour with Kehlani. And it was funny because the song was so fresh and so new. I don't even think he knew the lyrics. So like he gets out there, I'm telling him like 5,000 people, 8,000 people in the stands, like people like trying to watch us because it's a sea of people. They have like trees where like you could see people sitting in the trees like trying to get like a good view. Crazy. My mom was in the front, my aunties were in the front. It was that was a magical moment. I'll always remember that one as probably one of my favorite performances. And the first time I stage dove too.
Really?
Yeah.
And it was all good.
It was all good. One of my friends ate, like he literally fell right into the barricade. He's still okay. He's alive today. No real damage
No more,
that we know of.
no more
right?
crowd surfing.
I know, right? But what a time.
Going on stage, I've done it a couple of times. I've never sang on stage, but I've done it a couple of times, in festivals and when we sponsor stuff. But how does that, as a performer, differ from a studio? Obviously, a studio, you're behind, glass and a microphone, and you just got the producer there.
Yeah.
Tell me how that's different from going on stage.
I think going on stage is somewhat easier because the moment is already there. Like the moment and the way that you're receiving people is 9 out of 10 if they're at a show, they want to be entertained. They're musically inclined to, or they're musically curious. They want to see what's going on, what you want to present. So I think having that advantage of I already did something in the studio and that I know I've already rehearsed in the studio makes it pretty easy for me to, do what I know I'm best at, and that's like rapping, singing, performing, and then tie that into who I am as a person, like joking with them, joking with them when I'm on the stage. Like I love live performance because it allows that moment for the stuff that I come up with in the studio that I really spend hours and hours and hours focusing on, to just like go like that. And, it can last a lifetime. Like that moment can last forever. So I think the difference I think it's harder to be in the studio and come up with something that you want to resonate with a bunch of people. And not that that's what I go in to create all the time, but when you're doing it for a living, I think sometimes you have this like, oh, I'm used to this song resonating with people a certain way. So if I go into the studio and I'm spending hours on like this verse, this bar, this, hook, I think I'm harder on myself than when I'm on stage. Because when I'm on stage, it's like everything's already done. Like,
right.
It's just you're just presenting.
Right.
So
and you already got people, you don't have to prove anything. The people are coming to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of takes some pressure off you.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's a good perspective. Because I'm sure, a lot of people, when they go up on stage, all they see is 10,000 people, right? And that's what they do. They see the 10,000 people and their hearts start, So anyways, so that's a great
Well, next time, just black out. You know what I mean? Take deep breaths. Take deep breaths. Like I'm always praying before each show. And then like after that, another one of my routines is 30 push-ups. Just do 30 push-ups, bro. Trust me. And I see you fit. You should be able to.
I got 30.
I know.
I got 30.
I think you got 30. It's like, just do that and then like get the blood like pumping and flowing. And it's a natural, once you get out there, just don't even think about the people. Just grab the mic, do your thing. Yeah.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
I like that. You also, you did a little contribution to a major motion picture, La La Land.
Yes.
Tell me about that collaboration, that opportunity. Yeah. And what that did for you.
Man, I think that was a good testament to one, always like some of the biggest opportunities, and I got this from Pharrell, when he performed at Essence Fest, are on the other side of saying yes. Some of the biggest opportunities arrive on the other side of saying yes. I said yes in this one particular instance to somebody who wanted to cover a couple of my songs that I released in 2016 on trumpet. This guy's name is Ryan Svensson. Ryan Svensson, little did I know at the time, works for Lionsgate. He also helps with music supervision and is tied in with other people at the time. He's in a new position now, but at the time, this is just somebody I saw on Instagram, and I was like, oh, like, cool. He's like, yeah, we should link. And I was like, yeah, let's link. Let's make music together. So we make music together, wind up putting that music out. A couple months later, he's like, yeah, we're working on this La La Land thing at Lionsgate. And I played the guy who's composing everything, like all of those musical components, your music. And he really likes this one song. He was trying to see if you could come in like today, like in like an hour, to come to Hollywood Hills to come record something. And I'm like, I don't even know where I was. I blacked out. So I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, yep, I'll do it.
No pressure.
Right. And I don't even know what this is. La La Land. I'm like, okay. Like, I don't like the name. I'm like, okay. And it's a musical. Okay. Like at the time. Right. So I'm like, okay, but I'm Lionsgate. I trust him. He's done great work for me. And
you
I'm
said
paying,
yes.
And I'm paying it forward. And I said yes.
You say yes.
And so arrive there. And as soon as I get there, it's like rapid fire. He's like, okay, the composer's like, I like this song that you did. Plays me the record. It's called Almighty Dollar. It's off of a project that I have called Limbo. And he's like, could you rap like this over a beat like this? Plays the beat. And I'm like, I'm on the spot. And usually, like I told you, I spend hours like on the recording side. This was like, you know, with movie budgets and stuff, they only have so many hours that they put towards, you know, the music, the shooting of the scenes, all that stuff, the editing and all that stuff. So this is like, it's got to happen now. So I'm freestyling for the first time. Like I don't freestyle for the first time in a recording session because I like to write. I like to take my time. I'm in a pressured situation, but to me, I think that, you know, at most times, like I'd say complacency is an obstacle to creativity. Where in this case, like I needed to be like a little rocked. You know what I mean? To be like, okay, let me come up with something cool. And it worked. It worked. And it plays in the first scene of La La Land when they have the montage, or not the montage, like the scene of everybody in traffic. And I'm in like one or two of the cars in that scene.
Oh,
like,
for real?
I'm playing on the radio and like, yeah, so it's cool.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Were you actually you weren't in the film?
No, my face
just-
wasn't.
Gotcha,
No.
Gotcha. But you did that freestyle.
Yeah. Didn't write a thing.
Wow. And
Didn't write a thing.
so did that, I mean, obviously that's not your, like you said, it's not your style.
Right.
How did that make you feel? And so like this is not the way I work, but I'm in Hollywood. Like, how do you know?
I mean, it's like when in Rome. And also like, I think the coolest part of it was it unlocked something for me that now, even when I'm in sessions, I freestyle hooks and stuff like that more regularly. Like I actually do that now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, word. That's what's up. So, and you described your music in the past as experimental soul. And the best music is from making a beautiful mistake.
Come on.
Tell me about that philosophy. I love that. I love that.
It's the beauty is in the details. And a lot of times, like when you have something that's too perfect, like we even talk about it now with like AI in music, like some things can sound like the real thing because it's the right note, it's the right set of chords, it's the right subject. But the human element is the imperfect element. And if you have a little crack in your voice, sometimes that's the stuff I love the most, when like I'm a little bit off on the beat, or I'm a little bit I slur my word, or I make up a word that way, like where it's like, what did you say right there? It's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It fit with the rhyme scheme and it fit with the rhythm to the point where it's like, oh dang, now I even understand it more. That's where I feel like most of my biggest like successes have come in like, a beautiful mistake, like something like, and when I'm in the studio, even now, like I think about sometimes when I freestyled something for the song that I have, Juice, with Young Franco, the gift that keeps on giving. Shout out to Young Franco. I call him the Diplo of Down Under. We have a record called Juice that has been on so many commercials. I can't. Right now, it's on the seltzer Neutral. It's on their commercials that they have running online
real?
and everything. Yeah, yeah.
That's what's up.
Like shout out to it's everywhere. It's been on Apple commercials, all the stuff, etc. I wasn't expecting that my like freestyle hook to hit the way it did. Like we get into the studio. This is my first time meeting him, and I'm like, you got the, and I'm like mumbling and all this stuff, and I'm like, man, I don't really know what it is, right? I don't know if that's it. And he puts it over like where the chorus part is, and then we're like, oh my God, that's a hook. So I go back in there and like add words to it, and next thing we know, a song that I thought maybe I didn't have the right energy coming on it turns into a song that now has millions and millions and millions of streams and has been everywhere and back. You know what I mean? So
and it just goes to show you that, sometimes you plan for certain things and it doesn't pan out that way. And sometimes you don't plan.
True.
Something great happens.
True. True.
Absolutely.
So you got to believe. You got to
believe, right? Yeah. And I like what you said. Would you say opportunity is on the other side of yes?
Yes.
I love that. Yes. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. Come on.
All right. So tell me how New Orleans brass and jazz shape your influenced your music creativity.
Yeah. I'd say jazz did, because I think rap and jazz are way more related than we give them credit for sometimes, and just the idea of being alchemists. You know what I mean? We coming up with something out of nothing, and I feel like jazz musicians, they master their instruments to the point where, you put them on a stage or you get them in a room where they can interact and have a conversation with other instrumentalists or musicians, and something great is going to happen. I think rap and what I do is similar. It's like if you master your voice and you master your story to the point where you know how to communicate yourself on anything, any type of platform. Because you think about rap now has so many different subgenres, so many different, I feel like crevices and niche to it now, but the stories are very similar. And a lot of people know themselves, and the people that are the storytellers follow a form of how to tell their story in a way that, like, your voice is your instrument. And once you master that, and your story is your instrument, once you master those two, once you know yourself and once you know how to use your story or your voice and talk to the people that you want to communicate with, you're doing something similar to jazz, where you're able to sprinkle little bits of you on everything. And I feel like hip hop artists are so creative for that. Like, we are the most creative genre when it comes to storytelling, and also just vocal inflection and vocal presence. I think that we're very nuanced, and that is something that I see in like when I'll hear an Ellis Marcellus play the keys versus somebody else, like Professor Longhair or somebody else playing it. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see the difference in how people use their instrument, but I feel like it all comes from a mastery of knowing your style and knowing who you are, and they're similar in that way. They're similar.
AI. Is that like,
Yeah.
It's, when I listen to it, I've listened to a few AI songs, not even known it was AI. Like, for musicians, are you guys, music's not the only industry that's going to be affected. It's
right.
Every industry. But like, how are you, just paying attention to it, and like, are you kind of worried about what the future might hold? And do you use it, for you? Do you, how do you, just kind of tell me what's going on.
No, I do not use it. I do not like AI. I do not like it for song ideas. I think I'm a man who loves the process, and I have to reiterate, I love the process, and my process doesn't involve me getting an idea from a computer in the same way as I would rather even a friend send me loops that they made than go outside and say, computer, generate da 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 da. I'd rather go and find a human that already did it and sample it than use, something that's synthetically made off of the back of somebody else's art, already made creativity. I think that there's a lot of people that use it for different reasons. I think sometimes it's okay to be inspired even if you hear it and you don't know, or like, you know, it inspires you to make something. I don't like the idea of it making something for you, because there's whole jobs for that. There's writers, there's producers, there's vocalists, you know what I mean? Because now they're singing the records, you know what I mean? Like they're using people's voices and emulating people's voices. Even somebody that I know, they stole her voice and her likeness to make, you know, an entire record or an entire persona and an artist. And that's just not right.
No.
And I don't feel inclined to support something that devalues what I spend every day doing.
Right. And that's, you know, you and about 10,000, 100,000 other people, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and I got to imagine that there's going to be a lot more people trying to get into music because of AI, right? Because
exactly.
because they're going to use the computer to write some, you know,
which is
lyrics.
Which is like, I also think like it would be harmless if we weren't buying into it the way that we are now. I feel like there's a sensationalization around it that I don't enjoy. I think everybody's allowed to play. Everybody's allowed to be creative. I think that if you want to be a musician, learn an instrument. If you want to be an artist, take vocal lessons or study artistry and figure out your voice and take the time to build that. If you really want the world to hear it and you really want, you know, I feel like respect from those who do it. But if not, like, don't interfere with what we got going on over here. Like, you know what I mean? Keep that over there. You could keep it over there. Just, I think all these things start as harmless until we abuse them and manipulate them for profit. And that's a bigger problem in the music industry.
And by that time, it might be too late.
It's too late, man.
You know?
Yeah.
Facts. And let's talk about a little bit more about, you know, your style. And I know you put a lot of importance into a cohesive album because in today's world, obviously, we're dealing with, you know, hit singles and streaming, and it's all, you know, talk about the philosophy that your mindset behind the importance of a cohesive album.
Yeah, I think it's important to have a cohesive album for the same thing that we were talking about earlier, like your voice. Your voice is important, and my story can't be encapsulated in one song or trying to make it come across only on one song. You know, the over commodification of my being is like what leads to like releasing single after single after single or trying to catch attention, right? Like if you don't commodify, if you go within and you see all the sides of yourself as an artist, you're naturally gonna write multiple songs that cover the topic of you. And that is what I feel like a cohesive album should be. And it doesn't have to be your story, but what inspires you, what drives you. I think that the idea of pushing singles and like trying to get viral or trying to get something like making a big hit is a big misstep in the integrity of being like a successful artist. Because for me, I feel like being successful means that I'm staying true to myself, like you had mentioned earlier, and I'm focusing on what is inspiring me every time that I step into the booth. And I feel like in a world of singles, in a world of like us like being quick to listen to something and then trash it, we forget how important it is to take that time. And I want people to play my album top to bottom, no skips. We were talking about even when we were kids, you know, like you didn't even have that option the same way, you know. And I think streaming, for all the good that it's done in my life and like, you know, brought people to my music, the hardest part is people not doing the deeper dig or understanding why they like what they like. And that's what an album should encourage people to find, you know,
right? Because it sounds like, you know, the singles, those are people that are chasing a buck or chasing, you know, fame, right? What you're talking about is staying true to the music. And that's so crazy you said that, because even at our firm, my dad has always taught me since before I even started here that don't make decisions on making money. Right. Take care of the client, right? And everything else will follow, right? Make music. Right. Focus on the music. Don't worry about being number one. And just do what you want to do and be an artist, right?
Yeah, because then it'll resonate. It'll resonate like tenfold because it's so authentic. And it's like also you've given people like a full version of who you are, so like they can digest it. And I think obviously singles, I mean, it's hard to like knock a single. Obviously, they serve their purpose, especially if it's to promote the album. But the album needs to show your depth. I think it doesn't need to be a bunch of different singles. If they all hit, that's great. Like, you know what I mean? I was just listening to Olivia Dean album yesterday, and I'm like, I mean, these all hit, but they also have depth, and they're all, you know, sequentially you can play them top to bottom and they tell a story. And I think that's what every artist should be striving for.
Yeah.
For sure.
I remember when I was a kid, I listened to a specific artist. It was a rock and roll band, and they had an album, and listening to front to back. And it's almost like I didn't even hear the songs change.
Yeah.
Because it was a story.
Yeah.
It was music, but it was a story.
Yeah.
So I respect that to the highest degree. So tell me a little bit about global warming, the initiative that you're involved with. Tell us, for someone who's never heard of it, and I'm gonna put up on the screen, GLBL. It's basically global warming without
no vowels.
No vowels. That's
right.
But tell us a little bit about what that is and why you started that.
Yeah. So I'm the co-founder of a music hub incubator collective of Black POC adjacent and POC artists that are independent in New Orleans. And the idea is, we call it global warming because we are here to heat up the local music economy. And what I mean by that is, share resources with one another. I don't even think we're more of a label than a wealth of resources. All the artists that we work with are independent. We're not signing them to contracts. We come together through mutual friends, through mutual art that we've created together, to make a business that can pour into each one of us individually. So what I mean by that is, when we first started in 2020, we dropped our first project in 2021, Global Warming Volume 1, which was a testament to 25 different artists, like 10 to 13 different producers coming together, different visual artists, some execs in the industry that are down here, coming together to do business together. And I think a lot of times we like to party with one another in New Orleans and, see each other at their events and not really follow up afterwards, not really do the work in the studio, not really talk about like, oh, so what does this look like on a split sheet? Or what does this look like in terms of how I would get my royalties? Or what does a producer usually get paid for this? Or what does studio time look like? And having the conversations that a lot of artists don't have is what we're doing. And I think what has had a profound impact on how close we've gotten with one another. And, I think if you knew better, you do better. And a lot of times artists don't. So that's why they go out. They move to New York, they move to LA, they move to, Atlanta or what have you, and learn all these things secondhand. You know what I mean? It's like they're playing catch up. I think if we could teach people before, and not even just teach, but, have a constant ongoing conversation about what we need in the artist community with artists that are doing it in real time and are really talented, but also care about the business, we'll keep artists from New Orleans in New Orleans and work with other artists in New Orleans. And that's what we've seen. We still drop records together. Actually, this week we dropped one on Tuesday called Fear the Bear, which is really good. And then on Friday, I have a record that is dropping with, I don't know when this is coming out, but February 27th, we have a record with Nisha, Odd, the artist, Daylight, all artists from the collective or a part of the collective affiliated. And we are still having these conversations about like, oh, how do we do a new business deal around this? We're trying to do better. We're not trying. We actually are. So
that's awesome.
That's the point.
I mean, when you, it sounds like you have, a couple different things, but one, you're taking local up and coming artists, giving them the resources to elevate and, make themselves better, and also trying to keep them true and stay here to New Orleans.
Right.
And so that's interesting because I don't know if anybody really understands the value of that, because we have at our law firm, we have a group that we're a part of out in Atlanta that we go out to, and it's a group of attorneys
Oh,
that
nice.
meet from all over the country.
It's so important.
Dude, it's like it
So
is
important.
like management on steroids because I learn all
yeah.
these things from different people, and it's
Yeah.
like we're all in the same team. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like I'm my competition. Like we're all rowing in the same direction,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's important that people realize the value of resources and local resources,
Right.
and just out of curiosity, I mean, how much does it cost for somebody to join?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Come around, talk to us, tell us what you got going on. And given the bandwidth of a particular week, month, whatever, we'll schedule something so that we can figure out how we can work together if the visions align. And you got to be about what we're about. And I just mentioned what we're about, the empowerment and doing better and not just the same old in New Orleans. And if those visions and those values align, yeah, I mean, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Just come see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to put up a static image of global warming. That way, anybody that wants to get involved can reach out.
Please do.
And what's the address? It's on St. Claude.
3116 St. Claude is where we are now.
That's what's up.
Yes.
So, what does the future look like? I mean, what's the plans, if any, for global warming?
So we are going to drop another compilation album, to be determined when that actual date is, but we have recorded a lot of records over the last couple of years, or since we even dropped volume 1. So the idea is to hone in and mix and master all of that and put that out in single form, and then the overarching compilation will come out after. But also, for the time being, we are working on building a schedule of workshops for artists that, want to learn anything that I just talked about. We have people that are in our collective that can speak better than me about certain things that I just mentioned. And we would love to have y'all at those workshops once we announce them. And then other than that, we also do work with a couple other organizations in the city. Like we've done stuff with Glass Half Full. We've done stuff with For the Horticulture, Concerned Citizens of St. John. Just trying to, whenever we can use our voice, use it to impact climate change for the better. So yeah, that's also what we're doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I want to ask you some questions before we get wrapped up here. Some deep wisdom questions, looking back on everything. Knowing what you know now, what would you tell young Pell?
Ooh, what would I tell young Pell? Lots of things. But I think the main thing I would tell myself is trust your gut at every turn. I think the older you get, sometimes you think it automatically makes you wiser, and you have to think about decisions in a different way based off of previous, situations. But your gut will always tell you. What your intuition will always lead you into the right direction and the right decision. Don't ever lose that. Always have that faith in your gut, and it'll take you where you want to go and places you didn't even know that you wanted to go. So, yeah.
Where do you get most of your inspiration for music, and what is your style of like writing? I met someone the other day who actually flies out to a desert and just like sits there for like a week and
Burning
writes.
Man?
Yeah, right. Right.
Like what?
But just goes out and completely removes himself from every single. What's your writing process?
My writing process is I like to watch a lot of movies. So I used to, similar to like R.I.P. to Mac Miller, watching movies with the sound off. I like to watch movies with the sound off, and when I'm in the studio for sure.
Subtitles?
And, no subtitles.
No subtitles.
It depends on. I just want to see what's going on, and then sometimes I think now my new process is locking myself in the studio late at night when nobody's meant to reach me, so I don't even have to put my phone on D&D, and making as many songs or ideas of what I write about in my journal, to like getting them out, getting the ideas out first, and then coming back a day later and being like, okay, this is a song, this isn't a song, this is a song, and creating an album from that. That's what I've been doing recently, and I just started on an album 2 months ago that Yeah, I got back from Venice and Rome in the end of December or mid-December, and came back with a lot of wisdom, I guess we'll call it,
Nice.
or stories and ideas in my head that now I have formulated a whole new album that I'm putting out in the fall. So yeah.
Awesome. Do you like carry a journal around everywhere you
Oh yeah,
go?
100%, 100%. Got to.
Because you never know when something's going to spark, and
Yeah.
we could be sitting on city bench and write it down.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do. I got my journal, I got my planner, and I got my laptop usually wherever I'm at, ready to go.
Gotcha.
And I journal a lot. I free write a lot for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. So you told what you would tell young Pell. What would you tell to a young kid who's got aspirations,
Mhm.
to be in the rap game or to be in the music industry?
Mhm.
What would you tell them if right now they feel invisible, they're trying, they're not getting anywhere, or they're in that struggle phase, right?
Right.
What would you tell them?
Keep up with the process. Stay consistent. I think one of the hardest things to do is to keep growing when you can't see it right in front of you. But when that's the case, just fall in love with the day to day, the process, because that's when, I think honestly, 80% of this to 90% of this is that day to day process. The 10% that you may see on the gram of people having their big moment or having that big show or having that big placement is such a small, minute fraction of like the actual, that you have to fall in love with that day to day grind and appreciate the little things that make the story worth it for when those moments and those big hits happen for you. So appreciate the process.
Absolutely. Because I remember I went on vacation. It was a beautiful vacation. And someone said, "Oh, must be nice, right?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, you see the picture on it,
Yeah.
but you don't see everything I did
like
to grind, to
don't.
work, to get to this vacation, right?
Mhm.
I didn't just go, right? I
Yeah.
had to work, I had to make money, I had to do all these things to get that." So
That's so true.
yeah, and I appreciate that. So if listeners took only one message from your journey, whether that's art, resilience, community, music, what would you want that to be?
I am a man who firmly believes in himself and his dreams to the point where they provide me the life that I've always wanted to live. And I encourage everybody that listens to my music to follow their dreams, not in a, you know, sunshine, rainbow way, but in a way of, putting in the work and believing in yourself to the point where even when you can't see it and it's not right in front of you, you're doing the things that you know will get you where you want to go. And that's what my music is about. Outside of all the fun and the other things that I talk about, I think that there is a hint of that in every record. That yearning for wanting to be 1% better every day. So yeah,
I love that.
That's the thing.
Be 1% better every day. That's one of my core values. I tell
Come on.
everybody at the law firm. That's one of I'll show you. It's up on the wall.
I believe it.
It's it's be 1% better every day, because if you could just make little tiny improvements every single day. I think they said if you improve 1% a day for a year, you're 36 times better than
Sheesh,
right? Come on.
Let's talk about it.
Come on. So
Let's talk.
all right. So I'm gonna we're gonna close out today, but first I have some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Go-to spot in NOLA for live music.
For live music, I'd say Gasa.
Favorite festival you performed at? You might have already mentioned that, but I want you to reiterate it. Favorite festival you perform at, and what festival you hope to do in the future?
Favorite festival I performed at. I think you asked me my first. Yeah, so that was Lala. My favorite festival to perform at is Bring It Back, Voodoo Fest.
Right.
Voodoo Fest was amazing. I'd say, and one festival that I'd love to perform at. I would love to perform at Governor's Ball in New York. Yeah.
All right. Who's in charge of that?
I don't know. I'm about to find out.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. We send this podcast.
Exactly.
All right.
Golden Voice, maybe
a hidden gem in the city, whether that be a restaurant, a cool hangout spot. Where's someplace that
hidden gem in the city? I would say is Night Bloom. One of my favorite bars. Also, they have a wealth of DJs that they're connected to that always perform during the week and on the weekends. Really cool spot in a really cool neighborhood like Bywater area, where you'll see any type of person imaginable that fits the New Orleans spectrum of people.
Sure.
And
A wide spectrum.
but yet invites them into an environment that is curated. It's like a big bar. They have cool, low lighting. Adrian, the owner over there, is doing some really cool stuff. I like that spot. That's
what's up.
Probably, yeah.
That's what's up. All right. And then your go-to restaurant.
Go-to restaurant, Paladar 511. One of my favorites. My favorite Italian food in the city, if I'm being honest.
For real?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
They go hard.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Get that get that arancini. Get that get any of the pizzas, honestly. The mushroom pizza is my favorite. And then they have good drinks. They're good. Yeah.
Well, shit, now I'm hungry.
No, right?
Well, with that being said, we're going to close out. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Great
you.
Story. Thank you for sharing everything. And we will be back next week. So stay tuned and be back to see us. From NOLA with the Forstalls is presented by Jonathan and Chip Forstall. Executive producer, Mona Lisa Johnson, Sierra Media Productions. Host, Jonathan Forstall. Casting director, Jonathan Thomas, Ascension Branding and Marketing. Post-production editor and voiceover talent, Matt Pawlowski, Redline Studios in New York City. Produced by Ascension Branding and Marketing and Sierra Media Productions. Thanks for listening.